It wasn't until 1927 that the Board of Barber Examiners and the Board of Cosmetology were established. From 1927 through 1991, rules were altered within both boards. It was in the year of 1992 that the boards were merged, creating what we know as the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology. Years later, in 1997, the board was eliminated, but became active once again on January 1st, 2003, and has remained active to this day. It is this board that is responsible for issuing licenses to people who wish to pursue various careers in the cosmetology field. My opponent's claim is that the Board of Cosmetology carries inadequate principles for determining who is issued a license. Secondary claims given were A, the schooling and testing is too broad, and it would be better to focus on hair. B, the testing process is flawed. And C, hair is no longer a concern, which defeats the meaning of the art and science of hair. I do not agree. My claim is that the Board of Cosmetology standards are adequate for determining who should be issued a license. And my reasons are 1, cosmetology schooling covers different areas of beauty appropriately. 2, the board's testing process is good enough to evaluate cosmetology skills. And 3, hair is still part of the curriculum to get a cosmetology license. To bring up my first point, cosmetology schooling covers different areas of beauty appropriately. What my opponent said was cosmetology criterion is better off focusing on hair and trichology, which is the science of hair. But according to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, the definition of cosmetology is the cosmetic treatment of skin, hair, and nails. And therefore, cosmetology courses cannot just concentrate on just hair or nails or skin. According to Article 7 of the board's regulations, the curriculum for a cosmetology license includes 1,100 hours in hairdressing, 200 hours dedicated to health and safety, 200 hours of aesthetics, and 100 hours in manicuring and pedicuring. Based on what cosmetology is supposed to consist of, I can safely say that the schooling for cosmetology license is appropriate because it covers various areas of beauty. If someone wants to concentrate in just one area, then he or she should aim for a license in that specific area rather than a license in cosmetology. So if someone wants to concentrate on hair, they would get like a barbering license, or skin would be aesthetics. Now my second point is the board's testing process is fair. I believe it's fair because students are informed beforehand exactly what they will be tested on. In the California Cosmetology Practical Examination Candidate Information Bulletin, specific information on what to expect in the examination is available. The general subjects in the test are setup and time protection, blow dry, styling and thermal curling, hair cutting, chemical waving, virgin hair lightening application and hair color retouch, virgin relaxer application and relaxer retouch, basic facial, manicure, sculpture nail, and hair removal of the eyebrows. What will be asked of the test taker for the hands-on portion of the test is also included. After the exam, the test taker will know whether he or she has failed the test, but that is all. Not telling someone what he or she did wrong may help the standards of the board, may help keep the standards of the board high by forcing students to improve on all skills, reassuring that the only people who receive licenses are the people who are ready to have them. Lastly, my third point, hair is still part of the curriculum to get a cosmetology license. In fact, as previously stated, according to Article 7 of the board's regulations, there must be at least 1,100 hours designated to hair alone by each student. Out of the whole cosmetology license curriculum, majority of the time spent in school must be spent on hair. So although cosmetology touches different areas, hair is still one of the main focuses of beauty. But there is enough time assigned to other areas as well to receive a well-rounded experience in cosmetology schooling. Overall, I'd like to finish by saying the board is responsible for licensing cosmetologists, barbers, manicures, estheticians, electrologists, apprentices, and establishments, and that it is safe to let them continue their job because the Board of Cosmetology standards are adequate for determining who should be issued a license.
All right, I like the fact that you started off with a little bit of historical context, although I'm kind of wondering what happened in that 20-year gap between 90s, or I guess it was not 20 years, a 7-year gap between 2007, 2003, or 6 years. I can do math. In 92 is when they changed the criteria originally. You laid out the secondary and main claims of the advocate pretty well, but what I thought was interesting is basically you present a counterclaim, supporting structure for your counterclaim, and then basically you're trying to apply the arguments that the advocate made to your arguments and follow that structure a little bit. They're somewhat compatible, but I think that it's a slightly different way of organizing the argument and might create a little more confusion. I do think that you did a nice job trying to define what cosmetology is and talk about what the criteria are, although some of the data sounds exactly the same as the advocate presented. The one thing that I thought was important that needed a lot more development was the discussion that you can actually get a licensing in the particulars like a barbering license, and that's different than a cosmetology license. And that would seem to undermine the advocate's entire claim because of the focus on hair in that situation. So I'm not sure why that point wasn't developed a little bit more. The issue of fairness is really a value claim. You make a counterclaim on the testing procedure saying maybe it'll actually improve the quality of the people who are doing a job there. That's, of course, hypothetical. You have no evidence to suggest that that's true. There's no authority that's supporting that. So that's just an inference that somebody seems to have made. Maybe it was you who's made it, but there's not much grounds for believing it. I do think that you show that hair continues to be an important part of the cosmetology process by citing some of the same information that the advocate talked about. I thought your summary was pretty effective, but you need to contrast it to the position that the advocate was presenting so we know why your position is the one that should be believed. All right. Thank you. Catherine.